friends, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Tammy Arndt and I am a Longarm quilter. And here on my channel I'd like to share my customer finishes as well as my own personal projects. So all the quilts you see on the ladder and on the desk, those are all customer quilts we're going to go over today. But first of all, I need to do a little correction from last week's video. So last week I had a quilt that had wool batting in it, and I made the comment in my video that wool batting could not be washed, and I was mistaken. So this was totally my fault, totally a misunderstanding on my part. So wool batting can be washed. Now what I am going off of is some information I received from Quilter's Dream Batting, and that is the company that I purchased my batting from, and I have here in my studio. I stock rolls of their batting. They are a great company to work with. They work very well with especially small businesses because they don't have a minimum requirement for their ordering. I love Quilter's Dream Batting. They have a wonderful product. And recently I did an interview with one of their customer service representatives so that I could present that to Quilt Circle, which is my online membership, and they will be getting that in December. But I totally misunderstood something during that interview, and she said it perfectly. It was my ears that did not take it in, and my mind that did not remember it correctly. So, but Quilter's Dream Batting, their wool batting is thermally bonded, which means it has small bits of polyfibers in there, is what it's thermally bonded to, so that the wool doesn't shift around in the process. And I don't understand all the specifics. I'm just trying to give you what I know. But because of those polyfibers in there, wool batting can be washed, but it cannot, you don't want to heat it up in any way. So you cannot iron it, one, and two, if you dry it in the dryer, it needs to be on a cool setting and possibly even just an air dry, because what they mentioned to me was that sometimes the drum of your dryer can get warm enough, even on a low setting. The drum of that can get hot enough to actually melt those polyfibers that are thermally bonded to the wool, and melt them, and then and then that would make your quilt very stiff. So my total misunderstanding, not any information that they gave me wrong on their part, it was what I remembered, and so I have gone back and watched that a couple of times to make sure I have my information correct. So it can be washed and dried. Just when you dry it, you will want to do it on either an air setting or a cool setting, so that you don't melt those polyfibers. I hope that makes sense. And again, totally my fault. And I apologize for the misinformation that I gave last week and any troubles that might have caused you. It is fall time here in Indiana. We've had some beautiful fall weather, and I might have mentioned to you on some previous videos how my family and I had a You Pick pumpkin patch for about 17, 18 years. And just a small patch, just a couple acres of pumpkins. We started this when our kids were really little. As you may know, we have 7 children. When our kids were small, when we had the oldest 2 kids, we moved to the farmhouse that we're in now, and had a couple of 2-acre fields around the house, and we were trying to decide what to do with these fields. The first couple years we just let a nearby farmer come and put his crops in it, and then we decided we wanted to do something ourselves with the fields. So I wanted to start a market garden where we grew produce and took it to farmers markets. In my research for that, I learned that pumpkins was a good cover crop your first year. So we went out with, by then we had the 2 oldest ones, and then I think we'd had the 3rd one. I was pregnant with the 3rd one when we moved here, and we had another one after that. And I think it was when number 5 was a year old. Maybe not even quite a year old the first year we started Pumpkin Patch. So But how it started is we grew pumpkins that first year in 2 acres, in a 2-acre field. We ended up with 500 pumpkins. And then we looked at each other and like, what are we gonna do with 500 pumpkins? And we have a neighborhood that is about 3 miles east of us. It's around a lake. There's about 1,000, 1,200 homes or so. And so we advertised over there that we had pumpkins. Come pick them. You pick, that kind of thing. And we had people come the first year, and they came and picked pumpkins, and they would ask us, are you going to do this again? You know, there's nobody out here that are growing pumpkins like that. So what started out was just going to be a cover crop the first year, and then we were going to start into vegetables. It turned into 17, 18 years of growing pumpkins. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. Our family got bigger and bigger and bigger, so we had plenty of workers. We would do hay rides, we would do field trips, we would bake, we would grow our own pie pumpkins, we would cook those down, and we would make pumpkin muffins and pumpkin pie and pumpkin bread, and we would make caramel corn, and we made our own white and wheat bread, so we would sell that as well, and dinner rolls. I mean, we did the whole thing. So we had all this food you could buy. We had little family games that you could come out and do, and it was just a wonderful time in our lives. But a couple of years ago, we decided it was time to close down the pumpkin patch. Our kids were growing, they were getting married, they were heading off to their own lives, and we no longer had that help here. Not so much for the October time, but it was all the hoeing and the planting and all of that that goes on during the summer that I didn't have kids here for anymore. So that was a wonderful time in our family. A lot of busy times, but it taught my kids so much about entrepreneurship, which a couple of them have gone on to do their own things. It taught them how to interact with people. It taught them how to handle money. It taught them how to bring in supplies and reuse those and put it out as a product that people could buy. So it taught our kids so much, but it was time to close that down. But it's a wonderful memory that we all have in together as a family. So this past Friday night, we invited all of the kids back, spouses, boyfriends, and as many as could come, and we all got together and we baked all of our pumpkin stuff again. We had the pumpkin bread and the pumpkin pie, pumpkin cookies. We had pumpkin shaped cookies. They're actually sugar cookies, but they're in the shape of a pumpkin, and then we would put some orange icing, and the little green, one of my daughters decorated all those up for us. So we had that. We did a hay ride. We did a 3-man gourd slingshot that we always did during the pumpkin patch, and we had a bonfire. We just had a wonderful time as a family. But I wanted to share 2 things from that night. First of all, was a surprise that we got, and if you have read my newsletter from last week, you already know this surprise. If you have not read my newsletter, then I will put a plug in here that you need to get on my email list, because every week, usually on a Saturday morning, but it's a little late this week, usually on a Saturday morning is when I send out an email, and it's called the In, On, and Around email, and that's because I always share something like in my studio or in the mailbox, or I don't know, I mean, whatever I can think of, in something. And then there's always on. Sometimes that's on the Longarm, or on my mind, or on whatever I can think of. And then around is always around the farmhouse. And so I always share information, or just some information about our personal lives, kind of the things that we're doing here. We live on 27 acres out in rural Indiana, and not a farming family per se. We just have a hobby farm. We have a couple goats, some chickens, we have a dog and a couple cats, and just love the autumn, love the farm scenery around us. And so I just share things that are going on in our family. So if you got my email over the weekend, you already know what I'm going to say. But Friday night at our family get-together, everybody was there, and our two grandsons, so we have two grandsons, and we have another grandbaby on the way in April. I told you about that a couple weeks ago. But our two grandsons, who are 13 and 11 right now, they stood up and took off their sweatshirts, and they had new t-shirts on underneath them. And they stood there beside each other, and they're just waiting for me to look over. And so I look over at their t-shirts, and here's what they said. Oh my goodness, I was totally shocked. So this is our oldest son and his wife, and these are their two boys, and the two boys are welcoming a new sibling into their family, and I am so excited. So this will make grandchild number 4. So I have the two older boys, and then we have two babies due in April. How exciting is that? I did not see that coming. Did not see that coming. It's total surprise. I am super excited. So the family's growing. Growing. I told somebody the other day, my goal is to have more grandkids than I have children. I have 7 children, so I'm well on my way to having more grandkids than I have children. The other thing I wanted to talk about from that Friday night is how we decorated for the Friday night. Now, I was in a virtual conference all day Friday and all day Saturday. So I had done a lot of the baking on Thursday night before everybody was here on Friday, but the decorating is what my daughters did. And I put some pictures of this into my newsletter on yesterday when it came out, or over the weekend when it came out. But I've had a couple questions about some of the pictures that I had in there. So you'll notice on the tables that I have quilts out on the tables. Now this is not, my daughters did all the decorating for tonight, but they've definitely learned this from me. We did, let me back up to the pumpkin patch. When we had the pumpkin patch for all of those years, we did finally get to vegetables. We did about 2 or 3 years where we actually grew vegetables for farmers markets as well. So we have 2 different fields. We would always do pumpkins in one field. The other one usually sat idle, but a couple years we decided to go ahead and do vegetables in the other field. So there were a couple years that we did farmers markets. We would sell green beans and spring mix and carrots and radishes and all those yummy things, tomatoes obviously, all those yummy things at a farmer's market. But I always loved to decorate our table with quilts. And so when we would go to farmer's market, I had some different quilts that we would use out on our tables. So my girls have gotten used to that when we decorate for holidays, we use a lot of quilts. And so you'll notice on the tables when they set it up for our Friday night bonfire, they put quilts out on the tables. And it's a fun feel, a festive feel, all the fall colors. But I've had some questions about, do you use your quilts for, on tables like that regularly, and do you have a problem with staining or that kind of thing? So here's my feeling on using quilts for tables. We don't do it on a daily basis. I don't keep a quilt on our tabletop every day. I do have some table runners down the middle of our dining room table. Usually always have one of those there. When the kids were little and we had a dining room table that was really just a piece of plywood on top of a smaller table, I would put a quilt on there, and then I would buy plastic, like big sheets of plastic from like Walmart or Joann's, and I would cover the quilt top with that. And that's how we did it for many years. But today, on a daily basis, we have a nice farm table that I use, and I'll do just a table runner down the middle. But when we're decorating for this, I obviously use quilts. And my reasoning behind this is I want my quilts to be used. I do have some special quilts that don't get put out, so especially my Holt ones that I have, more the applique ones. Those are more wall hangings. They're more showy type things. So I have a couple quilts that I just keep that we don't use for decorating like that. But my philosophy is I want my quilts to be used. I want my family to pull them out and sit with them on the couch, or to drag them outside onto the porch and to cover up when it's raining outside and they want to sit on the porch and enjoy those spring showers. When we went on the hayride the other night, we all had quilts around us as well. And for decorating the table, I want them to use my quilts. I think it's, I like that look. I like that look. If they get stained, if they get harmed in some way, oh well. I can make more quilts. I want these quilts to be used. I do not want my family to be afraid to use them. I don't want my family to say, yeah, my mom made quilts, but we never got to touch them or we never got to use them. I want them to be used. If they get worn and tattered, then we'll make some more. Probably the only problem I've had, I cannot think of any stains per se, but my kids are older too. You know, while I do it when the grandkids come along and we're sitting around the table, probably to decorate, yes, but to be sitting at a table where you're eating food over a quilt, probably not. But to decorate on a table, they wash up, you know, and I really can't think of any stains we've had. The biggest problem I've had is when our dog was a puppy and he chewed up the corners of quilts that were on the porch. I got a little upset about that one, but again, I can make more quilts. I want my quilts to be used. I don't want them just to sit on a shelf and never be bothered. So that's kind of my thinking. You may have a different way, and that's fine. So in the pictures from our family gatherings, you will see quilts on the table, and I think it's a really nice effect. I think it's a great way to decorate. So enough about that. That was our Friday night adventure. One more thing before I shall share customer quilts is I did get my October Sew Sampler box in the mail. So I wanted to share that with you real fast. It has some great stuff in it. Great stuff in it. I don't know if they're going to have this box available a la carte, which means you don't have to have a subscription. If they have extra boxes left over after everyone from the subscription gets theirs, then sometimes they'll offer those on their website. When I checked today, I did not see it, but I'll check again over the next few days. And if I see that pop up on Fat Quarter Shop's website, I will link it down below. But if you're not familiar with Sew Sampler, this is a monthly subscription box that the Fat Quarter Shop sends out. And it always has a wonderful theme and some wonderful pre-cuts in it. So this month's theme is All You Need Is Love. And there's always a great coupon on the back of that card. And then when you open the box, there's always this little card, and this just shows you, it's kind of like the old, you know, you'd open up your wallet and all the pictures would fall out. It's kind of that thing. But this is just a card that tells you about everything that's in the box. And when I opened this box, I was shocked at how many pre-cuts are in this box. So let me first show you what it is. This is Camille Roskelley's line, Lighthearted. So all the pastels, the pinks, the aquas, some greens, really, really cute. Florals, okay? So it is the Charm Pack, 5-inch squares, and I believe there's 42 of them in here. But not only do you get one, you get two, three Charm Packs in one box. I've been doing this for a couple years now, and I've never had this many pre-cuts come in one box. I'm thrilled. Isn't that cool? I just think that's really cool. So why are there 3? So a couple reasons. They always include a pattern in the box as well that you can use with the pre-cuts. And this pattern is called Heart and Soul. This is by Lisa Alexander. And it takes all 3 of those charm packs to make this quilt. And the only thing else you need is some backing fabric and some binding, and you can make that quilt. Again, I don't know that this is available. Usually the pattern that's in the box is not available outside of the box. But this being a Lisa Alexander pattern, it might be. When I have looked so far, I've not been able to see it. I've been able to find it, but if I do find it, I will link it down below. So cute. And this would be a perfect time to make it, have it done in time for Valentine's Day or next spring. Very springy feel. you know, with this one. So all 3 of those charm packs would be used to make this quilt. Or they also include, this is called a Love Charm Tote Kit. This is a June Taylor tote that you can make with those charm squares. Now this one says it takes, the body of the bag takes 33 to 35 charm packs, or charm squares. The straps take another 14 to 20. The binding will take another 4 to 8. So you would use up pretty much all. This says 50 to 60. I'd have to do my math. 55, yeah. So you'd really only need 2 charm packs to make this tote bag. How adorable is that? So you might need to buy a few more if you wanted to make the quilt and then tuck it inside the tote bag and put the 2 together as a gift. That would be really cute. But this is one that has the interfacing where you're actually sewing right on the lines of the interfacing and you're making the bag as you go. Printed pattern on stabilizer, perfect for charm squares. The instructions are all included. I know there's a whole line of these bags that you can look at on the Fat Quarter website, Fat Quarter Shop website, and you can get all the details about that. Also in the box, this cute charm, lighthearted charm. I love charms. They're so pretty. Little bling bling. Does it serve a purpose? Just to be pretty. And then the last little notion in the bag is a seam width gauge. Now, let me take this plastic off so you can see this. This has 4 different seam widths: 1/4, 3/8, half, and 5/8. And let me read you the directions, what it says. I have not used this yet. I just opened this box this morning. So it says, use it quickly to adjust seam widths by finding the side with the seam width you need, aligning the edge along your fabric edge, and moving the needle position to the needle hole. It will be love at first stitch. So I may be too small for you to see, but like here says 1/4 inch. So this little piece is 1/4 inch. There's a little tiny hole right there. So if you move your needle to that spot with the edge of your fabric right there, then that would be 1/4 inch. So the whole square is 1/4 inch. What I like about that, what I see myself doing, using this as, first you could measure your seam allowance to make sure, because each one of them has that little hole. What I see myself using this for is when I'm doing binding. You know, when you're sewing binding on the quilt top, and you're trying to judge it at the end, how close you are to the end, because invariably I get too close to the end or not far enough. This would be a great little tool to have next to the sewing machine, that I can lay it right there. I can have the end of the quilt right here, and then that'll show me right where that 1/4 inch is, if that's the size of binding seam allowance that I'm using on that. Handy little tool put out by Dritz. And finally, each box has a quilt-along pattern. This year we are doing the Pressed Flowers quilt-along. This is block number 7. And if you recall, I still have block 6 that I need to finish, and block 7. I'll get to them. Wonderful, wonderful. I was really happy with this box. Really happy with the box this month. There are some finishing kits available at Fat Quarter Shop. If you get the box and want to make this quilt, you can get on their website, and they have finishing kits, which would include the backing and the binding needed to finish that quilt pattern. All right, let me put all this away because we have a ton of customer quilts today. So I have 3 on the desk, I have 3 on the ladder, and I have 1 on the chair behind me. And so let's get started with those. Let's start with Stacey's quilt, and this is the Hello Birdie quilt top. Stacey's quilt is just adorable. Look at all those little birdies. So if you remember back a couple years ago, Riley Blake introduced this little bluebird as they were doing an introduction of their Hush Hush line, which was their low volume collection called Hush Hush. And so there were different designers that did this little bluebird, and they had a whole thing where you could follow different designers. They were all coming out with their versions of the bird, I believe is what it was. Anyway, Fat Quarter Shop took this version of the bird and then they put it together in into a quilt top. So there are 3 different versions of this bird, and I will link them down below. There's a paper piecing one that you can do, there's an applique one that you can do, or you can do the pieced block. And those would be interchangeable within this quilt pattern. So Fat Quarter Shop has the quilt pattern. Riley Blake has the 3 different types of birds. The pattern from Fat Quarter Shop actually uses the pieced one. So if you're wanting to do the piece pattern, all you would need was their free download. If you're wanting to insert one of the other ones or do all of yours applique or all of yours paper pieced, then you'll want to follow one of the links below for the Riley Blake ones. But just super cute. And Stacey has done hers all in different colors. So we have blues and greens. This is just adorable. Couple different blues, and the birdie's wings are different colors, and their little feet and their little beaks. And then she's done this gray print for the blocks, the alternating blocks. Very adorable. And on the back is a super cute fabric. I'm not going to get a good shot of that one. So it has the spools, just old wording and advertisement type things. It's a really cute print. This is the gray as well. So you can see the pantograph we used on this one. I used the Soho pantograph. Really cute. Just a fun little addition to this one. Kind of the swirling around. I mean, it adds a lot of texture. Just a cute pantograph. I did this in a white thread to match that white background. I didn't want to take away from that, and it blends right in with the birdies. So cute. This measures 40 by 40, I believe, is the pattern size. All right. Very nice, Stacey. I have a couple of other of Stacey's quilts, but they're rather large, so I think I'm going to finish these small ones on the desk. Some small ones before we move on to the larger ones. So next, we will be looking at Sara's blue baby quilt. Sara has made several of these baby quilts. The first 2 we did in pinks, if you remember those. I've shown you those before. And Tilda fabrics, so she had the Tilda pinks that she had done 2 different quilts with. And then she picked up some Tilda blues to make this one. She's just getting stocked up on some baby quilts so that they're all ready when she hears of a new edition coming. So these are charm squares, really easy to put together, and then she's done it in a radiating pattern, so you can see the lighter one in the middle, and then just continuing to work around. You could lay this out on a design board so that you get them all, or on a design wall, or on your floor. So you get them all going the right direction. But notice they're all the blues, but we've started with one with a white with the blue print, and then a lighter blue with a white print. And then even these other ones, you know, from a distance, like when I'm looking in the camera, that reads as a white to me. But when you get in close, it is a white background with some blue polka dots on it. And then we go to a blue one. This is a solid blue. And then moving out, we have the next 2 rows, one of them being stars, blue stars, and then one of them being blue stripes. Then we have a lighter blue. This is a blue background with white polka dots. And then we have the larger polka dots with that one. The backing fabric is this really cute raindrop print. And let me look real quick the name of this for you. This is called Shape Friends by Ampersand Design Studio, and it's for Paintbrush Studio Fabrics. Clouds and raindrops, and that is where we got the inspiration for the pantograph we used. So this is a new pantograph into my studio. This is called Pouring Rain. And being a baby quilt, I did this rather small, just to kind of stay with the scale of the quilt. Look at that texture, isn't that beautiful? Just raindrops, and now I did orient this to match the direction that the raindrops were on the back. Okay, so this one, actually the selvages for the fabric would have been on the top and the bottom of this. But if I would have loaded the quilt with the selvages that way, then the pantograph would have stitched out here and it would have been opposite of what the backing fabric was. So I actually loaded it with the cut edge on the top. The two selvages were on the side. I normally don't like to do that because selvages are always a little tighter, and it kind of throws off just the tension of the quilt sandwich, I want to say. This wasn't a huge quilt. It wasn't a huge problem. That's just kind of preferences. I like to load the selvages on the leaders instead of the cut edge, but not a big deal. But always try to orient your pantograph with the direction of your fabric, because this fabric is printed that way. But with the quilt, I wanted it oriented this way. That's the way it's going to stitch out. So I wanted it to orient it the same direction as the fabric. Used a cream color, I don't remember. It blends pretty well. It might have been a white, now that I'm looking at it. It's so hard to tell once it's on the quilt, but I think it was a white thread. Love the texture on this one. Really, really cute. Super easy quilt. Beginner could work on that one, or you could lay that out and have that done in a weekend, or maybe for a retreat if you take it on a retreat. That'd be really fun. All right, let's move on to another small quilt that I have, and I have a Prairie Seeds quilt from Shelley. So a couple weeks ago, I showed you that I had received one of the house blocks, the seed, I forget what it's called, but it's a Lori Holt package where she does the houses in each one of them. She also did a whole line of flowers in the same ones, and this is called Prairie Seeds. So Shelley has taken the first 6 of these flower blocks and put them together into a quilt. How cute is that? Each flower is different, and then it has the big old stem with the leaves. Love the yellow, the sunflower, I assume. Each one in a different color. So we have the red, really cute. Looks like all Lori Holt prints, and this actually, not quite all, I don't know that that's a Lori Holt print, but I recognize a lot of these from Calico Garden, and Shelley's one that did Calico Garden. So I'm assuming she's using a lot of her leftovers, even the, so this outside border, that was left over from Calico Garden. What a great use. So, you know, picking up another one of Lori Holt's patterns and then using your scraps from other projects to finish out these quilts. I love the lattice work that she put in and the colored cornerstones on each one. Super cute. The leaves being all different, that's a really neat effect too, not doing all the leaves the same, but different ones. Really, really cute. So because we had all these flowers, we went with a flower pantograph. And I don't have the name of this backing fabric, but I'm not even sure you can see. The flower pantograph, this is called Dave's Sunflowers, with all the busyness, but just wanted to repeat the flower pattern. And this one's about fist size is the size that I made it. Really cute addition. I did use an off-white thread on this one. There was not any white per se on the quilt top, and so I felt that the bright white that I have might have been a little stark on there, so I went with an off-white, and it blends right in, just adds the texture, and again, a secondary design to your quilt top. So this one measures 45 by 53. So this will work as a nice wall hanging or just thrown over the back of a rocking chair or the couch. Just really cute. And that's Shelley's quilt. All right, let's move on to some big ones. You can see the cat speaking out at the top. Let's talk about that one next. So Stacey's second quilt is this cat quilt. This is actually a pattern by Missouri Star Quilt Company, and the pattern is called Pins and Paws. It was originally published in one of Jenny's block magazines, so it was the block magazine of spring 2017. So if you have that on your shelf somewhere, you already have this pattern. So this is really cute. I like how Stacey has made each one of the cats this light creamy color. So this is a line by Kim Deal, and this is her line called Butter Churn Basics. That's just really cute how each of the cats is that. And then she's used this this denim color. It's a Bella Chambre made by Moda. This denim color for all the background. Just a very cute quilt. Very soft. Feel. If you have a cat lover in your family, this would be a perfect quilt for them. I just love the different colors, all the different kitties, but they're all in their golden colors there. Really, really cute. The backing fabric, I do not have a name for the backing, but she actually used a light flannel on the back in that same buttery feel. Really nice. Really nice. All right, so the pantograph, we went again with the Soho pantograph with the birdies and the cats. The cats have that same Soho pantograph, and you can see it right here. I thought this one was a cute one. I think a lot of times of cats playing with yarn or things like that, and because the cat here, we've got a lot of straight lines with the ears and the back and just all of the different rows. The Soho added some movement to it, just some softness in the feel of the quilt, but actually, you know, just kind of goes along with the chasing thread around the room or something like that, chasing that ball of yarn. Went with the cream color thread is what I used so that it blends in with all of those creamy kittens. Really cute pattern. This one measures 68 by 77. And I will link down below. There's also a tutorial that Jenny Doan does on this on the block, as well as the pattern being available on her website too. So 68 by 77. Really cute quilt. Be perfect for a little girl's bed. teenager who loves her cat. Are really cute. All right, let's move on to that one. Again, a fun quilt. This one measures 60 by 72, and this is called Legendary. This is a pattern by Elizabeth Hartman, who's known for her caricatures and fun quilts, and this is no exception. So great trees here. Love all the greens. And Stacey has used some grunge fabrics, similar to ones that we used in the lightning bolt quilt, if you remember from last week, that was done in the blues. Here we have all the different green grunge prints. So you got a little bit of a mottled look. Love how the evergreen trees small at the top and larger, and then we've got the brown. The browns are Bella Solids. So for Legendary there, Bigfoot, and for the tree trunks are all a brown. And then also for the background fabric is just this light tan color. And more trees, all the trees. Really nice that she did different trees. You know, you have in a forest, you'll have trees of different colors. So each tree itself is made from the same color of grunge, but then it's different from the tree beside it. So you have a little lighter greens and a little more emerald greens. Just really cute. So here's like the lighter ones you can see. Really, really cute. And then just the one Bigfoot. This is all pieced together, no applique done at all. And then the backing fabric is a grunge that's in, a tannish with some gray in there, the grunge there. And you can see really well the pantograph we use. This is the diagonal plaid bias cut. Again, a lot of texture added. To me, this has a manly, masculine feel to the quilt itself, and I like this pantograph. I think it does as well. So I would say kind of a medium, not too small, not real large. Love this one. I just love the texture that the diagonal plaid. The bias cut means that the edges are rounded. There are some other diagonal plaid designs that have the square edges. I just like this one. I use this one a lot, I'm sure. You've noticed that, you see that a lot. Really great texture. I did go with a little more of a taupey thread on this one, a little darker than like the Prairie Seeds one that was more of an off-white. This is a little darker, a little taupier, and even the bobbin thread I used was a little darker just to match this is a little more tan, not quite so off-white, a little more tan, and so I went with that one. Just really cute. How fun. Really cute. You know, again, like this is all pieced, not appliqued. Really fun quilt. All right, so that's Stacey's 3 quilts, the birdie one and the cat one, and then this one. And let's move on to that beauty down at the bottom. Thought it was funny when I was hanging quilts up for this week. All of the large ones on the ladder felt like very fallish colors, I guess. And then all 3 of the ones that the smaller ones I had this week that I folded up and put on the desk had more of a springy, more of the cream, and more of the pastel type colors, and then the one on my chair back here is a Christmas one. So I just about had all the seasons in 1 week. Is this not a beautiful quilt? So if you're a Kansas Troubles fan, you're gonna love this one, and I know I've got you out there. I hear from you. This is a beautiful pattern. This is called Cobblestone Stars, and this is a Kansas Troubles quilt pattern, and this is all Kansas Troubles fabric as well. So love the stars, each one done in a different colorway. Love Kansas Troubles. To me, they have a very fall feel to them. You could even do a wintry one, but just very fall. And look at this tiny piecing in this lattice work. I measured these. These are, finished, they measure 3/4 of an inch. That is tiny little piecing. I don't know, I haven't seen the pattern, I don't know how it's done, but hopefully it's done in strips, and then those are cut apart, because those would be some tiny, tiny pieces to work with, but a great use of your scraps anyway. Then the borders that go around the outside are a little bigger, but I love this. I love the separation here. The lighter color that separates here gives your eye a place to rest, and then we move on to this. I love these colors right here. And then again, we separate it with the lighter color and then do the dark border. I'm one of those, I kind of like dark borders or dark binding on my quilts. To me, it's like a picture frame around it. I don't do that always, but it kind of the way I like to finish quilts. But really pretty. Love the richness of these colors. The fabrics on the front here are from Through the Years fabric line, which is Kansas Troubles. The backing fabric, let me show you that one. This red print is actually from the, let me find it, this is from Back to the Basics, which is also a Kansas Trouble. And kind of like overlapping circles, you can see. I like the red. You know, from the let me go back to the front here. We've got a lot of different colors on the front, all in smaller areas, and then we have this big green border. So I kind of like putting the red on the back. Again, it matches the front of the quilt, but it's different. It gives you a whole different feel to the quilt, and I really kind of like that flopping from one to the other. Oh, this is my favorite though. I really like that. So for the pantograph, we chose this one. This is called Becker's Crop Circles. And so 2 circles are done in a row. I mean, they nest up into each other. So here's one, and then this feeds in to this one down here, and then it goes back up to this one. But there are 2 sets of circles that it's stitching out at each time. Again, I went with the more taupey colored thread that I used on that legendary quilt as well, because these fabrics, not really an off-white, they're more of a taupey tannish color, and so this one matches perfectly, adds a lot of texture without taking away anything from the quilt. If you see, this kind of reminds me, Kim Deal does a lot of the same colorway as Kansas Troubles, and a lot of her quilts, she does a very similar, it would be a hand-guided pattern that she does, where she, and I don't know that it's her, but it's her quilter, does a lot of her quilts, she'll do like a swirl in and then come out of it, and then a swirl and come out of it. So this kind of mimics that same style, and I like that. This was a good choice. I gave Ginger about 4 different choices of pantographs, and I'm really happy she went with this one. I like the circles in contrast to, you know, the diagonal lines and the small lattice squares. I like the circles to it. Really, really cute. I like this one. All right, I have one more quilt today. First of all, I don't know if I gave you the measurements on this. This is 72 by 72, okay? I have one more quilt today, and it is a Christmas one. Are you getting ready for Christmas? All right, here are some pictures. this quilt is Kathy's, the last one for today. This is again a beautiful, beautiful quilt. This pattern is called Lucky Layer Cake, and this is an Erica Arndt pattern. Also goes by Erica Made Designs, or Confessions of a Homeschooler is her website. I will link it down below. But a really, really cute pattern. Every square is the same, but by changing where different colors are, you get some blocks that look, you know, like here where you have a little lighter in the middle, a little darker around the outside, and then other ones where you change, you have a little darker in the middle. So it kind of changes, it doesn't always feel like you have the same block going throughout because we're changing the color placement, which is really cute. And then on the corner of each block, so the block ends right here, on the corner of each block, she has put this little easy corner triangle, so you can see on this block it's the green, okay? And then there is one strip of white sashing with a cornerstone in the middle. And so then when we join these 4 blocks, this one, you can just barely see that one, and this one, we get a secondary block that comes up right there. Is that not cute? Is that just a great idea? So this is the corner of this block, this is the corner of this block, this is the corner of this block, and this green one is a corner of this block. This right here is white sashing going up, down, and both sides, and then this is a cornerstone. And then it creates not only this, but you also, you know, it almost looks like this, another star. Love patterns like this that create those secondary designs when you put the squares together. So this is done with a layer cake, and she has used Christmas Eve by Leela Boutique, and I have linked this layer cake down below. So with the pattern and the layer cake, and there is some additional yardage needed for this white. This is a white solid. Just gorgeous. This is some yardage as well for the binding, or for the borders. And again, this is the Leela Boutique Christmas Eve line. So, so cute. I have several quilts waiting to be long-armed that have this fabric line in them right now. And speaking of Christmas, I cannot take any more quilts that you need back before Christmas. I am booked up for Christmas time delivery, but feel free to continue sending quilts to me because you're going to want them by the first of the year. I just can't guarantee they're back before Christmas right now. I apologize to those of you who have sent quilts, and if you have one of my older, if you printed off the PDF for my long arm quilting instructions and it said a 2 or 3 week waiting time, that is an old sheet. I currently am at about a 6 or 8 week out, and I apologize that it's gotten that long, but you guys are so prolific quilters and are sending me such beautiful quilts. I am working through them as fast as I can. And I hate to make you wait, but that's really where I'm at right now. This one, this pantograph we chose is called Mistletoe, and it is gorgeous. Just gorgeous. I love the feather type feel that it has, along with the great big swirls. Oh, I just think it's very rich. Just a very classy feel to this quilt as well. Used a white thread on this one just to blend in with those large bits of those large amounts of negative space in those squares. Just creates a lot of texture, adds a lot of softness, and just a classy Christmas feel to it. Really, really cute. The backing fabric. Like an ivy, or not an ivy, but a holly type. Little smaller scale, which is a neat contradiction. So you got this large scale on the border, and then going with a smaller scale for the back is really cute. Just an adorable quilt. Really, really pretty. All right. That was a ton. So from Christmas to fall feel to springtime, we had it all this week, didn't we? All right, so those are my quilts for this week. If you are in need of long arm quilting services, I hope you will find the information down below to get your quilts to me. Again, I can't guarantee it by Christmas delivery, but I know you're working on stuff that you'll want to get back soon, so you can go ahead and send those to me. All the information is on that worksheet. If you would like to join my newsletter that sends out once a week, has information about the quilts I share here, but also just about my personal life and some other things going on, you'll want to sign up for that down below as well. Thanks for joining me today, and as I always say, every quilt is worth finishing. We'll see you next week.